Okay, so we're talking about the koshas, and we're talking about the nesting dolls. That was a fun sound. Woke us up. So you have the nesting dolls that fit inside of each other, right? One stacks inside the other. And these are a great representation of the koshas, our 5 yogic bodies. So the 5 koshas that the yogis are proposing to us are layers of our individual body. So if you want to write them down, Anamaya kosha, Anamaya, Ana Maya Kosha, is your physical body. So your physical body, its literal translation is food. So the literal translation would be what your body's made out of, not necessarily the physical body. Anamaya kosha, your food. That what you eat is what you are, right? Right? So that makes up your physical body. Everything that is therein contained in the physical body is what most of us consider anatomy, or Western anatomy, as I call it. So science is proving, on a molecular and cellular level that everything is connected, correct? When you look under a microscope, you see something inside of something, and it goes on in infinity. They can't even identify what's holding everything together, but there is something holding everything together. We just haven't developed a powerful enough microscope to see what that something is, right? So you have your physical body. That's the outer layer. But then inside of your physical body, you have another body, pranamaya kosha. Prana is Prana, and then you just write maya kosha again, Mayakosha. Pranamaya kosha is your energies, right? The energies of the body. We need a rest to build our what back up? Prana, our energy, so that pranamaya kosha. Then the next layer, if you take the pranamaya kosha away, is the manamaya kosha, Mayakosha. So manamaya kosha. Manamaya kosha is the mind. Where's your mind? It's inside of your physical body, right? Now the mind is not necessarily the one that makes all of your decisions. When we're talking about the mind, manamaya kosha, we're not talking about the intellect. Your intellect is separate from your mind. And I love the frowns. What? You just blew my mind. So the mind would be your physical brain, would be your mind, right? It's also the part of the mind that is helping you to solve everyday problems, like food, shelter, sex. The mind is in charge of the senses. So the eyes, nose, ears, hand, and tongue, the senses, eyes, nose, ears, hand, and tongue, are part of the mind, the manamaya kosha. And they're separate from the intellect. So the next layer of your koshas is the Vijnanamaya kosha. And so I'll spell that for you. Vijnanamaya K-O-S-H-A. Jnanamaya kosha. You don't say the V. So it's just jhana, the jhana, jnanamaya kosha. Jhana is the intellect, separate from the mind. The intellect is a summary of all of your experiences in your life. It is where you get morals and ethics from. And the intellect is very important to understand, because if you're in a yoga class, for example, and if you're leading the class or you're a student, the experience you're having, and this is applicable to every part of our entire life, is completely individual to you and your intellect. The education that you received in your life, the things that you've learned, the things you've gone out and done, the morals and ethics that you subscribe to, whether they were taught to you from your family or you chose your own morals and ethics separate from what your family believed in. All of that is your intellectual sheath or kosha. And it dictates the experiences we have in life. It is your likes, your dislikes, the way that you judge things, you evaluate things. Yes, this is good for me. No, this isn't good for me. Even down to the clothes you choose, the way you look, is all the intellect. So then, the last is the Anandamaya kosha. So inside of the mind is, here's the mind. Inside the mind is the bliss body. And I love that it's solid in the ABBA nesting dolls. And I love that it's the woman. I love that it's solid and it's female. And this is your, whoops. See, bliss doesn't last very long. It's your little bliss body. She's really happy. And she would be really happy, or he would, or it would be really happy.
Can you just repeat the name of this one again?
Sure, I definitely will. The bliss body is Anandamaya. A-N-A-N-D-A-M-A-Y-A kosha. Anandamaya kosha. And it's the bliss body. So it is the end of Shavasana, or the middle of Shavasana maybe. At the beginning of Shavasana, you're in your mind. The first thing that happens when we close our eyes is usually the mind says, do I have shelter in my future, whether it's right now or not? Am I safe? Do I have shelter? And do I have food to eat? Those are the first things you're doing when you lay down in Shavasana at the end. And then your intellect takes over and it starts problem solving. And it starts using your checks and balances, your morals, ethics, your likes and dislikes to start making decisions. Okay, what do I need to do next? I need to go to Target next, and then I need to do this, and then I need to do that. And did I like the music? And I didn't really like the music, and I loved her tights. Oh my God, they were so great. And I wish that she would have had us do more sit-ups today, you know. Or if it's in my class, most people are saying, why was he saying so much yoga shit? And then, hopefully, Shavasana is the launching point of meditation. So hopefully there'll be a point where the student or you go, okay, stop all of that. I just need to, Troy keeps telling me to feel my body, to breathe, to relax, and to feel my body. But what I'm asking you to do is to feel your bliss body. Use your physical body to get to that yummy Shavasana feeling that you have at the end where you feel so good. And you're like, oh my God, this is why I do yoga. And this is why I'm going to come back and do yoga again. Because this right now, I just feel like me. That's your bliss body. It's also the bliss body that's really, when you're really elated and happy and joyful and excited, and if I tell you to think about something that brings you happiness and joy, that's your bliss body, right? It's that point where you just feel like everything's cool. Everything's fine, I got this, everything's taken care of, and yeah, I'm doing me. That's your bliss body. And that's the feeling that we hope yoga can bring all of us to, that connection to the bliss body, right? So I have my bliss body, my little bliss body, and it's the happiest. But I can't have my bliss body out there in the real world all the time, because that person that cut me off in traffic doesn't give a shit about my bliss body, right? So I gotta hide my bliss body, and I can only bring it out when I say namaste in yoga, right? Or when I'm really super happy. Then the bliss body comes out. Then it's safe to let the bliss body out. So I hide the bliss body inside of my
John and I are both.
Vajana-maya.
and that's representative of my intellect. So I hid my bliss body in my intellect mind, which is my defense network system. My intellect mind is the one that's always making decisions and problem solving all of the time, and taking care of everything, figuring things out. And sometimes it's called the ego, right? Your ego is what decides if you like something or not, based on your past experiences. My intellect has made a like and a dislike. I like brunettes, I don't like blondes. I don't know why I have that like or dislike. Most of us can't explain why we have the like or the dislike. We just like it or we don't like it. Almost all of it comes from our intellect making a decision based on our past experiences. So I'm super smart. I can pull my intellect out and show it to some people sometimes, but for the most part, I'm not gonna, be too egoistic. We don't like to be too ego, right? Ego's good, but in the right situation. So I'm gonna put my intellect inside of my mind, because it's safer in my mind, separate from my intellect, to just worry about everyday things. So that's where most of us operate all the time, all day long, is in our mind. We need to hide the mind in another layer. And what does the mind and the body need to run on? Energy. So if I have enough energy, then my brain's good, my brain can work, my body can move to get the things done that I want to get done, right? But I'm not going to show anybody my real mind. I'm only going to show you this part of my mind, and you this part of my mind, and you this part of my mind. So I'm going to keep it just a little hidden, right? We all have someone different that we are in public, like out at Disney World, than you are when you're at home in your couch, right? So I have the energy. The energy's running all of that. I mean, just those, 4 layers right there took a lot of energy to run. Could you imagine? I mean, if you were a city, you would really need a nuclear power plant or something to be producing enough energy to keep everything running all the time. That's why we need to do things for our physical body, such as the 6-week slim down that we just did, that helped our body really clean and healthy. Because all of those things I just described to you, including your energy, are inside of this physical body. And there they all are represented. And this physical body is a lot, right? Muscle, skin, tissue, bone, hair, and nails. So we carry all of that inside of our physical body. The thing to consider is that you can move between the 5 koshas or layers at will. Most of us don't seem to understand that we can call on these different parts of our being, of what makes us up as who we are, at different times when we need it. And this is where the idea of mindfulness practice or meditation or mastering the mind techniques really help us. Because most of us are in the mind, and the intellect is an automatic thing that happens. We don't realize that we can control the mind and its bodily desires with the intellect, our experiences, and that the choices we make, the thoughts, words, actions, and deeds, will affect us on every level. So whatever the physical body does, eat right, limit unhealthy activity, and do more healthy activity. We go to yoga, we go to Zumba, we do whatever we want to do for exercise with the physical body, right? And then that keeps the physical body in really good shape. And then the physical body, if it's in really good shape, it's going to give us more energy, right? We want good, healthy, clean energy because it's yoga, right? We want as much energy. Don't you want as much energy as you can get? Right? Because you can, what with that energy? You can do more things. Let's do more things, because if I have all the energy I want in the world, then I have my mind satisfied. I have food, shelter, clothing, and sex, and I can go out and get it all that I want to get because I have the most energy in the world because I took care of my physical body, right? Then the mind's happy. Yay, I've got somewhere safe to sleep. I've got a safe yoga studio to come to. I've got transportation. I've got some clothes. I've got some food in my belly and in the kitchen. So the mind's really happy. If the mind is super happy, then your intellect is going to be happy. You like that. Your likes and dislikes is your intellect based on the filter or the sunglasses that you're wearing from your life's experience. So if the intellect is really happy, you don't have to solve any problems. So the intellect is super happy and it can be restful. And then I can really get in touch with my bliss body, right? So if I'm not doing anything to get in touch with we call it our intuition. People like that, right? That voice that tells you turn left, don't turn right, or the voice that helps you make that decision. You're like, I need to get quiet and think for a minute so I can make the right decision. And then you're waiting for that voice to come in and say, yes, this feels right, do this. You know what I'm talking about? That's your bliss body talking to you. But if I ignore my bliss body, and I never talk to my bliss body, then my intellect takes over, right? And all I'm doing is spending all my time problem solving and deciding what I like and what I don't like. And my intellect becomes the most important. If I'm consumed with my intellect, then my intellect is always listening to my mind, which is driven by fear, shelter, sex, food. Do I have it? No. Oh my God, what am I going to do to get it? And if the mind is all consuming, then that means it's going to be drawing on our energy constantly, which is going to affect our body. So if my physical body doesn't have any taken care of any time that I'm dedicated to taking care of my physical body, if my mind is running the whole show and always trying to keep me safe, clothed, and the other things, eating, and all I think about is that all the time, and I eat junk food because it's what's convenient, and things aren't going well for me, and I'm having a really hard time in life right now, then my physical body is going to probably get sick, right? Disease, illness caused by stress, mostly. Stress created by the mind, because the mind's running the whole show. I don't give any attention to the other parts of me. I just focus on the mind. The mind's having a really hard time, and it affects the body, and the body usually gains weight, gets ill and sick, and manifests disease. So the body's not doing very well because the mind is consumed with fear, doubt, worry, concern. And if the mind is all consuming with fear, doubt, worry, and concern, then I really rarely ever need my intellect, because my intellect isn't going to help me figure anything out, because it's never worked before, because everything in life that goes wrong can possibly go wrong, and it always goes wrong to me, and then I can just throw my bliss body away, and everything is empty, right? And then I meet somebody, or I pick up a book, or I go for a walk on the beach, and I see a rainbow, or whatever it might be that works for that individual, and we catch a glimpse, and we say, it's a lot worse for other people out there, and things really aren't so bad for me, and I'm not going to do that drug or take that drink or eat that food that's going to harm me. I'm going to make a better decision. This little bliss body will hopefully show back up at some point in the person's life, and they'll have a realization, wow, there is more to life than my problems. I have a lot to be thankful for. Just the smallest things. I have friends, family, food, shelter. I'm reasonably educated. I do have a job. Things are going okay for me. They're not as bad as I thought they were. That's the bliss body talking to the intellect. The intellect says, where'd that voice come from? I was all happy being depressed. And the intellect says, you know what, you're right. You're right. That yoga teacher today really inspired me. Things aren't as bad as I thought they were. And the intellect says, let's solve these problems that we're having. We're going to use the mind instead of being used by the mind. We're going to use the mind to overcome our doubt, worry, and fear. And we're going to solve this problem, and we're going to find some hope and some inspiration. That's going to start to raise the person's energy vibration again. And then the physical body is happy. So I hope this has explained the concept of koshas to you in an easy to understand way, that there are 5 sheets or layers to each of us. Each of those layers serves a different purpose. Those layers work together, they merge together. One layer and how we take care of it affects each layer. When we show up to yoga, we're trying to guide you through those layers. We're trying to get you closer to your bliss body. That's what we're hoping yoga will take you to. But we can't get to the bliss body if we're abusing any of the other bodies or koshas in any way. It's not going to happen. So the choices, the thoughts, the words, the actions, and the deeds that we decide to take and make in a yoga class, on our yoga mat, are going to affect us on all layers just as they do in the real life. And that's the koshas.